I am Dave Henning, executive coach with the John Maxwell team, and I'm here today with my good friend and expert, Tim Cunha, business broker, a certified value builder. He attended Georgetown University Law School after graduating from Rutgers University. He's taught college-level courses in law. He's also a licensed real estate broker, and we're glad to have you with us today, Tim, to talk about how to buy or sell a business, including questions and answers about franchises. Mm-hmm. And so let me ask you this, Tim. You sell businesses, and what's the difference about selling an existing business or franchise rather than what if somebody had a non-franchise business? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Real good question. It's a pleasure to be with you here, Dave. As you said, I'm a business broker, so I represent business sellers who have a business that they'd like to position for sale, develop the value in, present to the market, negotiate a good price, and then have a good exit strategy so that they can go out and enjoy the freedom that they've worked hard for. And a good question, because it makes a big difference whether or not the business is being sold is a non-franchise or a franchise. Now, when we talk about franchise, we mean something like Jersey Mike's or McDonald's or Subway or there's probably 4,000 to 5,000 different franchises in the United States. Some of them are good, some of them are great, some of them not so. So the difference is that when you're selling a franchise, it's a more involved process because you're selling your local business, but you also have to get the franchisor to award the franchise to your buyer.
Oh, right.
And as franchise companies say, they don't sell franchises, they award them. So if you're not going to have a buyer who they're going to award the franchise to, you can't sell it. Most franchise agreements have built into them a transfer fee. This can be a few $1,000s. It can be close to the original franchise cost and anything in between. They may be taking over your existing franchise agreement and have 3, 4, 6, 7 years left on it, or the franchisor might go into an entirely new agreement with them. When a franchise is sold, there's a franchise disclosure document, the FDD, and the FDD has to be presented to the buyer, and they have to have at least 2 weeks to review it before they can enter into any kind of negotiation or agreement with the franchisor. So it's a more involved process. But basically what's happening is that the business owner is transferring ownership of the local business to the buyer, and the franchisor is transferring the franchise, the right to use their system, their brand name, their logo in that particular territory and not that location.
So it sounds it sounds pretty complicated in one respect. So we talked earlier about the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak, of franchises. And as you mentioned, there's a different caliber of franchises. Like a McDonald's is going to tell you exactly how much ketchup and mustard to squirt onto the burger and when to flip it and how to set up payroll and run the cash register, how long the fries are going to cook, and working with employees. So it's very systematic. And as you know, one time I owned a Service Master cleaning company franchise that a similar process where I had bought it from a gentleman that was really kind of burnt out in the business. He wanted to go in a different direction. So I inherited his employees, his contracts, but I had to, as you say, get permission from the franchisor to be awarded that franchise and to transfer the business to me. But the cool part about that particular franchise was, as compared to another one that I owned, is the Service Master one was very good about very specific training and support. I do know someone that bought a sports clip haircut place. And you also have your real estate license, and you know the saying, location, location, location. So he bought, I believe, 3 of them, but one of them was in a very poor choice of a location, and with that kind of a haircut salon with a low-ticket item, very difficult to turn a profit, I would imagine. I don't think he ended up doing too well.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with franchises is that they can be very, very successful and they can be very, very unsuccessful. Um, One of the things that you're looking at is when someone wants to buy a franchise, my first question to them is why? And they give me a lot of reasons. So one reason should be because you want to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. That's sort of the cliche answer.
Right.
And so if that's the case, you don't want to be by yourself, then you want to be buying someone's brand name, their expertise, their system. The fact that the franchisor wants their system followed is because the good franchisors want their franchisees to be successful. They also want their brand name to be protected. They want to make sure that there's quality standards being upheld. So and that's why you're buying a franchise. It's not just for the name, but for the system, the training, the buying advantage, the buying power. All of these things are things that someone needs to look at before buying a franchise. And unfortunately, I've seen too many instances where people did not do that, and then they're looking to resell. So if you're looking for a franchise, the best thing to do, look for a franchise that's for resale. Why? Well, franchise XYZ tells you that the typical franchise makes $250,000 per year and grows at a rate of 10% per year in the typical location under the typical circumstances. Well, nothing's typical. When you're buying an existing franchise location, you know exactly what the sales are. You know what the profit is. You've seen the track record. You know if it's a good location, a mediocre location, or a horrible location. You already have cash flow coming in. You already have employees in place and customers in place. And you're usually getting a better deal if you want to buy the franchise, buying an existing location than buying a new one. So first thing you need to do is sell yourself, because you really are selling yourself on that franchise. And then you want to basically do your due diligence on that particular location and deciding if you want that location. There are a lot of advantages to buying the existing resale franchise than buying a new one.
Are a lot of those available again, using the word typical, a typical marketplace, in our situation, the San Francisco Bay Area. So are there a lot of opportunities to find a resale franchise?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. And this is when the buyer has to be very discerning and the seller has to be very proactive in positioning their business for sale. So let's first look at the buyer. The buyer's got to look at the franchise itself. And he wants to look at the franchisor and he wants to make sure that he goes through the franchise disclosure document thoroughly. It can typically be 120, 130 pages. They may want to have a franchise attorney look at it as well. Not your divorce attorney or real estate attorney or the traffic accident attorney. A franchise attorney, you want to have them review that for you. Penny saved is a pound earned, but that's very important to do that. They also want to find out a few things that I think are hallmarks of the franchise company itself. What is their franchise transfer fee? You want it to be relatively low because when you resell that franchise, you don't want barriers in the way. How much training do they do? How much ongoing training? Not what they tell you, but what other franchise owners tell you. And a real key point, how many people does that franchisor have selling franchises? And how many people do they have supporting franchisees? Now, I know of a company that has more people selling the franchises than they have actually supporting the franchisee. They will go nameless. There's another company, I use this example all the time, it's called Two Men in a Truck. Fantastic franchise. I met with the vice president of sales a couple of years ago, and at the time, I don't remember the exact numbers, they said, how many people work in your organization? I think he said 144. Really? So how many of those are in sales? He said 3, and I'm one of them. I said, that's all? He said, we don't need to sell our franchises. That other 140 people are working to support our franchisees and making them successful. From that point on, I started looking at franchisors and realizing that the company has a lot of people selling franchises and few supporting the franchisees are not a good bargain. The ones that have very few people doing the selling and a lot of people supporting the franchisees are really good franchises. So that's when you're looking to buy the franchise. Then you also want to talk to the existing owner and find out their real numbers. What numbers are they making? Then you want to see how much of a royalty they're paying to the franchisor. Little secret. People don't look at it this way. They say, oh, the franchise fee is, the royalty is 4%, 5%, 6%. It's wonderful. That's of the gross. So if you're profiting 20% and you're paying 5% to the franchisor, you're taking 25% of your profit and paying it. And you're going to pay that royalty whether you make money or don't make money. And you're also going to have a minimum royalty every month. So I mean, these are things to think about. Are you getting actual value from the franchisor? So that's from the franchise, that's from the purchaser's standpoint. And we can talk in a minute about what the seller needs to do.
Yeah, great. So I'll ask you another question in just a second. I'm speaking with Tim Cunha with Evergreen Gold. He is an attorney and also a real estate broker who helps business owners buy and sell business, people looking to buy a business, people looking to sell a business. And we're going to give out Tim's phone number in a minute. But you can go to evergreengold.com and look up Tim and make an appointment to speak with him directly. He'll answer all your questions. He's a great consultant. He has a consulting program that will help you analyze whether it makes sense for you to buy or sell your business. He's a hands-on kind of a guy who knows what he's doing and can give you some very valid information to, let's say, keep your head above water and maybe keep you out of trouble as well. So by the end of this broadcast, I'm going to be offering a brand new book that's just out. It's a free book from my friend and mentor, David Sharp, who has written up in Entrepreneur and Forbes magazine. It's called Legendary Marketer: How to Build a Digital Marketing Business and Earn Unlimited Income from Anywhere in the World. If you are a business owner and want to get information about how to market correctly in the 21st century and how to figure out what works and what doesn't work from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the modern day stuff that's going on out there, this is a great book to have. Free book. Just pay shipping. It'll go straight to you within days. So that's my plug for now, Tim. And we'll get to that, get to how they can get that later. So we're talking about franchises. Does a franchisee typically reveal their financials or share their financials so people can get actually a true picture of what's going on in that business before they jump in headlong?
Yeah, they do, and I'll address that because that's an important point about the transparency of the business seller and how they need to maintain good books and records and need to be transparent. But for a second, I want to jump into something you were just talking about. You know, the really successful business owner and the successful business buyer is the one who continually educates him or herself. So that finding books like the one you're offering, other material that you have to offer that will help a business owner refine and develop his own business acumen is extremely important. A lot of people buy a business or they look into buying a business. They really don't know anything about business, or they own a business and they don't do anything about growing and reading that new business book or that article in Entrepreneur or Inc. or Forbes. Or getting a coach, or finding the webinar, the seminar they need to go to. One of the most important things for business success is continuing to be educated. And I say that as a former college professor. I'm an educator. But when I'm talking to people about buying and selling businesses, I don't really sell them that much. I educate them. And one of the things I educate them about is what a buyer needs to do in order to successfully sell their business. They need to maintain excellent books and records, and they need to be transparent. If they don't have good books and records, then no one knows what they're buying. I have people telling me, well, we'll tell them what they can do. We'll tell them how they can change this. I said, you can tell something to somebody all you want, but showing them is the way you're going to convince them. You need to show them that this has worked. So when we look at a franchise for sale, you're always going to get from the seller their profit and loss statement, their balance sheet. You're going to, during due diligence, you go look at their tax returns and their bank statements and do all of that. But you also get to look at their franchise royalty reports. And those coincide as well, because the franchisor is going to be very concerned about making sure they get a good report, because that's what their royalty is based on. And if they're doing a service that requires sales tax to be collected, you look at their sales tax records. So there's lots of ways of quantifying what the experience is of the individual seller. The other thing, too, is you're looking at the seller's discretionary earnings, SDE. And what this is what that business owner is truly taking out of the business. We usually normalize that to the owner-manager, the person who is owning and running his business. What is he actually taking out of it between salary and depreciation and interest and health insurance costs and car expenses and cell phone, all of those things that are run through a business but are discretionary. That all adds to the seller's discretionary earnings. And the buyer always has the chance during due diligence to check those things, but they do have to be diligent. And if they don't, it's to their own detriment. Now, the seller of a business really needs to, especially the franchise, this is important as well. When you have a franchise, you're paying the franchisor for their brand name, their exposure, their website, their signage. But you're also usually paying, in addition to the royalty, you're paying into an advertising fund to do sales and do marketing and advertising for the entire chain and for your local business. It's not enough. You need to distinguish yourself. The local franchisee needs to be engaged in his or her own marketing and advertising program for the local market that will supplement and sometimes surpass what the franchisor is doing. This is the extra value that you can get from an existing franchise. And if an existing franchisee wants to sell their franchise at top dollar for the best return, they need to do whatever they can to do better in their market than the typical franchise. And they're going to do that by their own promotions and coupons and signage and social network programs and social media. They need to do all of this locally. That's a very important thing that most franchisees do not do.
Yeah, you remind me of one restaurant that for the past several years, they're a very successful restaurant that you would know who they are if I told you. They do a free Thanksgiving dinner every Thanksgiving for the last several years. And whoever wants to come in and have a Thanksgiving dinner, it's a full-blown meal. And that's just one of the ways, speaking of social networking and building credibility and likability in the marketplace, is they're doing something that benefits the community that's above and beyond any of their advertising. And as you mentioned, I used to sell Valpak coupons, and I used to buy Valpak coupons when I owned my own business. And when done correctly, especially for certain kinds of businesses, gives you that bang for your buck above and beyond what you are required to pay in the national advertising fee to the franchisor. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's so many different things you can do nowadays that are also free or inexpensive, even from targeted Facebook advertising. So a lot of options to work with. And I have a quote here from Bill Gates on something that you mentioned. It happens to be on my business card. It's interesting how that got there. It says, as you know, I'm an executive coach with the John Maxwell team, in addition to being a marketing expert. Everyone needs a coach. With no feedback, no coaching, there's just no way to improve. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft. So if Bill Gates has a coach and some big name folks and people understand the concept of investing in yourself. And another great way for people to invest in themselves, if they're looking to buy a business or sell a business or a franchise or a locally owned business, would be to contact my guest today, Tim Cunha at evergreengold.com, and ask for a consulting appointment and set that up. It's well worth the investment to talk with Tim personally. I'm sure he'd be glad to speak with you and to direct you in the right path to make an intelligent decision and not just kind of a shotgun out there and just take whatever comes. And I hope that makes sense. So what should a prospective owner look for when they're buying Well, actually, a locally owned business or a franchise, Tim.
Okay, well let's look at the locally owned business, the non-franchise business first. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. They want good books and records. They want to see that sales are going up, not going down. They want to see consistency in the business. They want to see employees that have been there for a while and that will stay. They want to see a diverse customer base and a diverse supplier base, so they're not dependent on any one customer or any one supplier. They want to see that if it's in a bricks and mortar location, that the facility is in good shape, that there's a good relationship with the landlord, and that there's longevity to the lease situation that they can take over. They want to make sure that the business is in an industry that's increasing, not decreasing. They want to check Yelp reviews and other kind of reviews and find out what kind of customer reaction there's been, what kind of reputation they have. They'll want to, so basically do extensive due diligence. And if they do that and they find that there's a solid business there, then they also want to make sure that there's a seller who will be around to give them training and support for at least a few weeks, so that they have a good transition. They want to have what I told my students at the business school was, they want to have their board of directors in place, and their board of directors is their CPA, their lawyer, their insurance agent, and their accountant. Because together, these people are going to be the ones that are going to help the business owner be successful. On top of that, they want to have a marketing guru, and they want to have a coach of some kind or another. Whether this is the rich uncle who is real successful in the business, or it's a professional coach, or it's a mentor of some kind. That's always important, and I think they want to join an organization where they're going to have contact with other business owners, because even if they're not buying a franchise, they don't want to be in business by themselves. They need to have the feedback of other people. That should be an advantage of buying a franchise. So you brought up the point of a coach. One thing that a franchise also should do, and if it doesn't run away really fast, a franchise should have a very robust organization of franchisees that get together and help each other out and mentor each other. That's enthusiastic about the franchise, that the franchisor supports. They should have a lot of ongoing training. They should have a person within the franchise organization that they can reach on almost momentarily for any question or problem that they have. That's what that franchisor should be providing. Even more important than a brand name is that support for the entrepreneur, that ongoing coaching. That's what they should be doing. And frankly, I would say that it's a relatively small percentage of the franchisors who really do it right.
So repeat, that board of directors includes
your attorney, your accountant, right, your insurance agent, a business insurance agent, and your banker. So your banker, and then on top of that, you want someone who's an expert at marketing, because again, most small businesses, when I have them for sale, they have various. I mean, you've got operations, you've got finance, you've got personnel, but you have marketing. And most small businesses are deficient in their marketing. They think marketing is, how much did I spend on coupons last month?
Right.
Next month I'll try something else. Marketing is a systematic approach to positioning the entire business to effectively serve the needs of customers. That means positioning the product, getting the right products, targeting the right demographics, targeting the right people, presenting it in the right way, packaging in the right way, positioning it in the right way, placement, pricing in the right way. All of these things are marketing, and most small businesses don't do it, or they don't do it well.
Now, you made a very valid point about leases. So of all the local businesses in our area, what's the difference between owning your own building or property and leasing? Is it the majority of businesses are leasing from a commercial property?
Almost all businesses, especially small businesses, are leasing. There's very, very, very few. In fact, we get approached on occasion from a buyer who says, I want to buy a business that includes the real estate. Well, sometimes you'll have a motel, or you might have a gas station. You might have a purpose-built facility that is actually owned by the owner of the business. But in most cases, the store, the service bay, the warehouse, the office space is not owned by the owner of the business. And even if the owner does own the building, they're probably better off, and again, this is legal and accounting advice, which I don't give in California for a fee, because I'm not licensed for either of those. I tell people they want to fly to Newark Airport in New Jersey, I can give them a legal consultation, but I'm not licensed in California. But frankly, what they want to do usually is have the business owned by one entity, an S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC, right, and have the real estate owned by another entity, and then they lease that property to themselves. In fact, one thing you would do is if you owned a building and you had a business in that building, well, you ideally have them in two different entities. And often I advise people, sell the business, go into a lease with the new owner, have that lease in place for at least a year. Now the lease is seasoned. You have a lease in place with an unrelated third party. The value of the building now increases because you have a legitimate third-party lease in place, and then you sell the building with the lease in place, and you can get more money. But you're separating the sale from 1 year you're selling the business, capital gains hits there. Next year you're selling the building, you have a capital gains hit there. If you take your building and you sell it in an installment contract of sale, you can spread the capital gains out over a number of years. So another thing that people have to look at too, people come to me and say, I'm buying a business. What's the most important thing I should be thinking about? And I tell them, your exit strategy. I haven't found a business yet. What's your end game? Where do you want to go to? What's the purpose of buying this business? What are you going to do at the end of the day? Because your exit strategy will help determine what kind of business you buy it, how you run it. And that plan can change, and it probably should change every 6 months. But you always have to be planning. What is my exit strategy? Where am I going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 8 years from now? Am I selling it? Am I going public? Am I giving it to my kids? Am I having my employees take it over? What am I doing with this business? And so these are so many different things that you have to look into when you're buying or selling a business. People selling a business, I tell them it doesn't really matter how much you get for your business. It matters how much you keep when you sell your business. Well, that's why you want to work with financial planners and CPAs to structure a deal in such a way that the business seller is going to get the best bang for their buck. So, a lot of things to consider when you're buying a business, when you're buying a franchise business, a lot of things to consider when you own a franchise and you want to get a position for top dollar. And I would say one of the best things is maintain great books and records. You notice I said that about 4 times. Because it's really important to maintain great books and records. And if they're not good, go to your CPA and have them clean up the last few years. And the other is do a lot of proactive local marketing so you're building up your franchise location so you're better than the typical franchise unit of that company.
I've been speaking with Tim Cunha, expert with Evergreen Gold. If you want to find out more about buying or selling a locally owned or franchise business, Tim is the man to talk to. Go to evergreengold.com. Tim, would you prefer that people go straight to your website, or did you want to give out a phone number?
They can call as well. They can call 650-600-3751. Again, that's 650-600-3751. And an important thing to note is our phone is answered 24/7 by a live person. So if you're thinking of selling your business and you want buyers to be able to call any time of the day or night and get information about your business, we're the broker to have because we answer our phone all the time with a live person.
And let me ask you this, Tim. So what area does your business cover? All of California?
We can handle businesses in all of California. We concentrate in the Bay Area, but we have businesses for sale in Sacramento and in LA and Orange County and San Diego. And we also have a program for business owners who want to sell a business by themselves. If it's only going to sell for a couple $100,000, we can show them how to sell their business without a broker and save thousands and thousands of dollars. But we do all the heavy lifting for them, all that back office work, all the prep, all the advertising, but we can save them all. So it's a business for sale by owner program, BizFizbo. And so we can do that for them as well.
So, pardon the pun, but you are a wealth of information about what to do. And I would highly recommend, if you're watching or listening today, that you contact Tim and set up a time to consult with him if you want to get the straight scoop on kind of staying out of trouble and getting the best deal for either selling your business or buying your business, locally owned or franchised. Tim, it's great to be with you. I want to just plug one more time this free book that I'm offering today. Just go to davehenningcoaching.com. That's Dave, HENNING coaching.com. And that will send you to a link where you can get this 200-page, it's actually more than 200 pages. It's 201 pages. If you can get this book absolutely for free, just pay shipping. And you'll also get access to 15 steps on how to market your business, some video training, and an actual live coach. Go to davehenningcoaching.com. It's called Legendary Marketer, How to Build a Digital Marketing Business and Earn Unlimited Income from Anywhere in the World, by my friend David Sharp, who's been written up in both Forbes magazine and Entrepreneur. Forbes said, when it comes to internet marketing, this is one of the masterminds of the industry. So I want to offer that as a special bonus today for watching our podcast. And again, Tim, thank you so much for being with me. I hope that we can get together again soon and explore some more information about how people can utilize your services and expertise to make the most of the journey that they're on. So thank you, Tim, for joining me today.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Thanks.